Hey, it's Marissa, and today we are talking about the 5 senses in selling your home. Believe it or not, the buyer's 5 senses are very, very important to keep in mind when you are preparing your home for sale. So first we're going to start off with sight. So the most obvious thing for sight is going to be decluttering, depersonalizing, and cleaning up your house. So let's start with decluttering. You want to remove any personal items that may be bright, show a little bit too much personality. Honestly, you want to make your home as boring as possible. You want to take out all of the personality in your home. So you want to take down photos, you want to take down those name signs that say your last name. You don't want people to even know who you are. Buyers can get very distracted. You want them to come into this space seeing it as a blank canvas and imagining their own belongings there. And then regarding cleaning, I think this is pretty obvious, but you need to show your home in its best light possible. It may not be the most updated home, but you have at least got to clean it. Next of the 5 senses is sound. So are you near a railroad? Or are you near a busy street? You want to keep that in mind when selling your home. That might be something that you have to cut back on price a little bit. Location is a huge, huge thing that you cannot change. So this will be something that we will chat about, but you want to keep in mind the sound implications of your home because buyers are definitely going to notice that right off the bat. It is something that you can't always change. You can't change that you live on a busy street, or you can't change that you have railroad tracks in your backyard, but just be aware that buyers are definitely going to be seeing these things and thinking about what they're going to sound like when they are living in the home. Another thing is, should you have the TV on? Should you have music playing? In my opinion, you should have it quiet. We don't need any music playing, and we don't need the TV to be on because it can be a little bit distracting. Like we go back to every single time, we need to make sure that the buyers can imagine themselves in the home. They need to be able to speak freely to guests that are with them or their real estate agent. So we need to make sure that it is nice and quiet for them. Now this next one is my personal favorite because I feel like it gets done wrong so much, and that is smell. So you want to remove all evidence of pets, and if you can, get someone to watch your pet during the listing period. If it's a seller's market where you know that the house is going to be gone over the weekend or gone within a week, maybe if you can get someone to watch your pet so that you don't have any evidence of them there, that would be ideal. However, I know that that is not the case for everyone. So just make sure that you put away toys, bowls, leashes, anything like that. Make sure the litter boxes are clean. That's a huge, huge thing. I was recently in a house the other day that just smelled of cat urine so strongly in the basement, and it just made me really kind of worried that we'd be able to get this smell out at all. So that is something to keep in mind. You don't want bad smells to hit you in the face, but then also at the same time, you want to be cautious about how many air fresheners you're using. If I go into a home and I see that every single room has an air freshener, I have red flags and lights going off in my head saying, bad, bad, bad. This is scary. So make sure that you're treating the actual root cause of the smell and the problem. So if it is something in the carpeting, maybe it's some pet smell in the carpeting, try to get those professionally cleaned beforehand, and consider opening up your windows for a couple days if the season allows for it. I know we're in Wisconsin, so that's not always the case. That also kind of goes along with like wax melts or any like plug-in things. You have to be cautious that not everyone is gonna like the smells that you like. I know a lot of people who really cannot stand the smell of cinnamon, and certain smells will give them headaches. So if you can keep your house neutral, you actually want it to smell like pretty much nothing. That would be the best case scenario. Because even when I walk into a house and I'm like, ooh, like it smells good in here, like I like the smell of, you know, the wax melt that they have going, or I like the smell of their air freshener. Also, I think I would just prefer it to smell like absolutely nothing, because that's really what the buyer is looking for, is the raw state of the home when they are going to be moving in. Again, we're going back to what's it going to be like when they move in. That's what they want to know, is that state of your home. Now these last two are a bit of a stretch, but of course I still had to cover them. So we are moving on to touch. And for touch, I said that you need to make sure that all of the surfaces are clean. Again, that goes along with sight. But if you are walking on a dirty floor, even like downstairs in the basement, if you can sweep up the floor, if you have an unfinished basement, that will really help. Otherwise, buyers just wear your shoes down into the basement. But make sure that the surfaces are clean. And then also another thing that people often forget about is to make sure that the buyers have access to all of the things that they need access to. So for example, the garage, if you can't get into the garage, that might be a red flag for the buyers. And I know that it's pretty common to store stuff in a spare room or a basement or a garage because you want to clean up the rest of the house and declutter. That's totally fine, but I still think that you need to give access to the garage and the basement and all of those places. So you need to make sure that the buyers can still enter those places and see them for what they are. If they're not able to walk into the garage and the garage is like the number one thing to them, that could be what makes them walk away from the house. So make sure that you are providing garage door openers, a key for the garage, or leaving the side door unlocked, things like that. Now this last one is where I stretch it so far. So the last sense is taste. And obviously you're not going to be tasting anything in the house, but I brought it back to personal taste. This kind of goes along with depersonalizing your home. So you want to have as neutral paint colors as possible. If you have, for example, we live in Wisconsin, so if you have a room that is totally decked out in Green Bay Packer colors, it's green and gold, and there's Packer stuff all over the room, think about what that might be like for a buyer who is not really into sports, or maybe they don't like the Packers, and you can benefit a lot more from making that room a neutral white or cream color and removing all of the personalization. And that goes along with curtains and drapes as well. So you want to make sure those are as neutral as possible. Think neutral, light, and bright. So not everything has to be white, but it would be preferred for it to be like a cream color instead of like a dark black or a dark brown. We want to keep things light and draw all of the light from the windows and stuff outside in, so it really lights up and opens up the space. Then again, if you have any photos of yourself or your family, or any name decor, or any like really personalized decor, you're gonna wanna remove that before the listing period. I think this could get controversial as well. I could see people giving me pushback if I came into their house and told them that they needed to remove any political items or anything that might spark a disagreement. But if we think about that things are kind of split 50-50 sometimes with political, we want to make sure that we make this as neutral as possible. We don't want to make it too girly. We don't want to make it too bachelor-esque. And we don't want to go one side or the other with politics, because that can wipe out 50% of your buyer pool. So we want to make sure that we are keeping this house as neutral as possible. You are totally free to decorate your home however you wish and live in it however you wish. But when your home is on the market, it's not your home anymore. So we have to get that ready for sale and make sure that the buyers can envision themselves there and not be too worried about any personal items that they're seeing in your home. Well, I hope this was helpful for you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I have tons of information on staging and tips like this that are not going to break the bank, and they're pretty easy to do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.